redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Hi there, thank you for joining us. My name is Adele Klein from Klein Transportation. I am co-owner along with my husband Wayne, and I am co-hosting our show today with our daughter Allison. And we're having a lot of fun today, and we're so happy you're joining us. We're traveling along in our motor coach and enjoying the beautiful scenery here, and that's one of the advantages of traveling by motor coaches because it's stress-free traveling. We have Dan on the professional driver for today. So we're relaxing and enjoying the ride along Old Philadelphia Pike. And back in the early 1700s, this same route was used by early travelers, and they would stop here in the Lancaster County area in Bird in Hand for rest. So it was called the gateway to the west for the traveling to the Allegheny Mountains. And they used certain descriptions on their inns when they stayed overnight by using artwork on their inns. And the artwork for Bird in Hand was a man holding a bird with two birds in a bush on the inn. So that's how Bird in Hand got the name for the town.
Stay tuned and join us as we visit the Amish Experience, Plain and Fancy restaurant, and explore all of beautiful Lancaster.
We've arrived safely here at the Amish Experience with Dan as our driver. It was so beautiful, the countryside, and that's one of the pleasurable things about riding motor coaches. You can actually enjoy the sights. You don't have to worry about the stress of driving. And if you haven't ever tried motor coaching, it's really a lot of fun. And my daughter and I actually had some good family quality time together ourselves as we came over here. This is a great family spot. Whether you come over by car or by motor coach, Lancaster County is a wonderful spot. And we had a warm welcome here with Brad Igo, and he's going to share a little bit about the Amish Experience.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. The Amish Experience and Plain and Fancy Farm have been here for a long time, and what many people don't know is how this property, Plain and Fancy, got its name. But back in 1955, there was a Broadway musical, Singing and Dancing Amish, about a New York couple that inherited an Amish farm, and it really introduced a lot of people to the Amish. So that was around the time that tourism here really started to take off. So the Amish are the plain people, and the rest of us are the fancy people. The fancy Dutch and the plain Dutch is what we said a long time ago. So the musical was called Plain and Fancy, and this property is called Plain and Fancy.
There you go.
Now we know.
Thank you for sharing with us. Tell us a little bit about all the different things that your property offers here.
Well, first of all, our property is in a wonderful location. We're along Route 340 between Bird in Hand and Intercourse, and we're surrounded here by Amish farms. So we're far away from a lot of the commercialism that people sometimes associate, with Lancaster County when they come in on Route 30. So I love our location, first of all. And the second thing is we have virtually everything you would want to do in one location. So you can do as much or as little as you want. You can eat a family style meal, you can eat a la carte, you can stay at the inn, you can take an Amish tour, there's an Amish house and school room, there's a theater show on the Amish and their history, there are buggy rides, and there are many, many group tours that we do. And the special thing about our group tours is most of them you can only do if you're part of a group. So you can't come here and do an Amish wedding tour, and you can't come here and do a Quest for Freedom tour unless you're part of a group, because certain things only work with a group.
So, and anybody can be a group leader, folks. You might want to be a group leader yourself. It's so easy to become a group leader. Get your family and friends together. If you belong to a civic organization or a church, just get everybody together and come over here to Lancaster County, and Brad can help get you set up with all these wonderful things that we're going to showcase here today on our show. And come by motor coach. Like I just said, it's stress-free and it's the most safe way to travel.
We have great sales girls in our office also that will help you step by step through how to get your group together and how to introduce the tour to your group.
As we were driving over here by motor coach and enjoying all the beautiful scenery, as you can see behind us here, I'm sure that not many things have changed from back in the 1700s, except for the mode of transportation, of course, by carriages and horses, which you still see a lot of around here in the Lancaster County area. It's absolutely beautiful, and the hospitality is superb, as I'm sure it was many years ago, and very welcomed as they drove through Old Philadelphia Pike. So this is a choice location here, and Brad's going to tell us all about the amenities.
So we're standing right now between the two sections of the new Amish View Inn and Suites. All the rooms in the new portion of the hotel overlook the Amish farm behind us. And sometimes when the Amishman is plowing the field with his horses, you can kind of observe all of that without feeling you're intruding. You just sit while you're having breakfast and watch the horses go by.
Nice.
So it's a great location right beside the restaurant, accessible to our tours. The important thing, I think, for people to understand is that we are indeed surrounded by Amish here. So it is what, as we like to say, it's what you came to see.
Right.
So it's just a beautiful location, and the scenery changes all year long. So many people like to come back during the different seasons, and we've thus created a lot of themed tours for people who maybe say, I've been to Lancaster, but we have a whole lot more in Lancaster than people are often aware of. And so we like to drill down and give some really unique experiences to people, chances for them to really interact and talk to the Amish personally, some hands-on activities on some of our tours.
So whether you're looking for a corporate event or maybe a family outing or a group getaway, if it's a corporate event, they have a facility for a meeting room. And if it's a family outing, you can have a family reunion here. But also, if it's a special time, like I know Allison wants to get away from some of her children and my grandchildren. But tell us all about that. It sounded like they had a neat spot for you, too.
The newer portion of the hotel here that just opened this year, all of the rooms, as I said, overlook the Amish farm behind us. But it's also what we like to call a kids-free zone. So this is really a section for adults. The families are welcome on the other side of the hotel. But in front of us, out of view of the camera, there's a little connecting bridge between the two buildings, and there's a little sign there as you enter the other building that's kind of announcing this is the adult section.
Okay.
So it's an adults-only section.
So this is a great place. You can come just as a couple and explore and find the things that you enjoy, and then come back and bring your family, and you can stay in the other section with your family. Great.
Good. I know that we have a great respect for the Amish people and their way of life, and we have such devices that everybody's in the device world now of electronics. Now, is your hotel, does that facilitate Wi-Fi?
Yes, yes. There's Wi-Fi, flat screen, big TVs in the rooms. It's an upscale addition to the hotels here in Lancaster. As I like to say, you know, there are a couple rooms here that have hot tubs, but there's also a TV in the bathroom for the ladies, and it has the old type bathtubs that you can sink down and relax. And there's a TV. I didn't know why there was a TV in the bathroom, but the women have explained to me the importance of that. Okay. And I'm not sure, some of the men might be watching some sports on the TV in there too, but I don't know. But yes, I like to say when you come here, you want all the tech stuff that we're used to, but you like to be able to look out the window and see that very calming, beautiful scenery that we have.
So you're experiencing the fancy while looking over the plain.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
There you go.
Great. Joe from the Amish Experience has joined us now, and he's going to take us on a tour through the Amish farmlands to explore the area.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. We're going to proceed out to the parking lot here. We're going to make a right turn on the 340. I'd like to welcome everyone to the farmland tour this morning. The nice thing about this farmland tour is you're never quite sure what you're going to see. The purpose is to just go out and kind of observe the Amish as they go through their daily activities today. So I'm sure we'll see something the nice day that it is. It's a beautiful day and a beautiful area to go out and do some exploring. We just turned on a PA Route 340. This road has been here for a while, actually since 1733. There's a main road in from Philadelphia to Lancaster City. A lot of immigrants traveled this road and make a right turn up here. Yep. And they came here, a lot of them, to escape religious persecution, which they suffered in Europe. That's what brought the Amish here. That's why they're here today. And as we talk about the Amish this morning, the Amish here in Lancaster are the Old Order Amish, a more conservative group. Not the most conservative, though. The Amish are not allowed to own or operate automobiles. They also use horse-drawn equipment in the fields. And we're going through some nice fields here. Cornfield on the left, and in the far distance on the right, you'll see a lot of corn. It's a major crop for the dairy farmers, which most of the farms here in Lancaster County, the Amish farms, are dairy farms. You also see some alfalfa that's been cut here. You see some horse-drawn equipment off to the right. Looks like that might be a cutter of some type. But there again, that's a horse-drawn equipment that the Amish will be using in the fields. Note the steel wheels on that equipment as well. Very few inflated tires. Only about 30-35% of the Amish are farmers. As I said, most of those farms are going to be dairy farms. We'll probably see some dairy herds as we pass them. The milk that's produced in this area right now is ending up in the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. markets. Not much of it is kept locally. It's sold through a co-op by the Amish farmers. Typical dairy herd will be 40 to 50 cows that are being milked at any one time. Now the herds may be a bit bigger than that, but you don't milk all the cows all the time. Again, that's why you see a lot of corn here and hay fields. There's another cut field. As we pass some Amish farmlands here and some homes, another thing to note is the Amish don't use electricity off the grid. They may use some sources of electric. You'll see solar panels. Go straight. You'll see solar panels. And they may also use battery power, but you won't see electric lines running into their homes. Their homes are not wired for electricity. We have a farmhouse coming up here on the left. You see some other nice signs that you're typically looking at an Amish property. See that long, high wash line going far from the building? That's the way the Amish women have of drying their clothes. They're going to wash those clothes with a wringer washer. But that's about the only way they have of drying their clothes. Mother Nature hanging them outside. Another thing you'll see on Amish properties are propane tanks. The Amish use a lot of propane. They use it for a number of reasons. Maybe to heat the home, certainly to heat the water in the home, to run appliances. They also use it for lighting. Go straight. So seeing propane tanks on Amish property is very common. As we continue here, we're going to have a one-room school coming up on our left. The Amish school system is made up of one-room schools. The Amish school system also goes, the students go till the 8th grade. The Amish didn't invent those one-room schools. They were common in America. Can you slow down a little? They were common in America until about the 1950s. Then states began consolidating those small schools. This is the building coming up here on the left. States began consolidating those small schools, closing them and building big buildings that kids had to be bused to. The Amish didn't like that. They liked having a small local school, something their kids could walk to. So by a court decision from the U.S. Supreme Court, they were allowed to maintain that school system, keeping those small schools and limiting their school system to the 8th grade, which is the system that's in place today. There's a number of schools in the Lancaster settlement. over 220 of them. Typically the class size is going to be about 30 to 35 students. Going right past an Amish farm here on the right. See some of those things we talked about. Of course, if you're Amish, you're also going to have some horses. Horse-drawn carriages are their form of transportation, since it can own or operate those automobiles. You also see some field horses. It's very readily apparent that different types. Field horses are large animals, slow animals, Belgian breed horses. Carriage horses are your more standard breeds. They're faster. They have the speed necessary to pull the carriage out on the roadway. You'll never see an Amish church, though, as we drive around today. You won't see any old order Amish churches. They don't build churches. They worship in each other's homes. They do that on a rotating basis. Why don't you turn here too? Turn here. They worship in each other's homes on a rotating basis. They get together in groups to worship every other week. When it's time to have church at your property, you may expect a group of maybe 200 people coming. The settlement here is divided into church districts. You basically are worshiping with your neighbors. And when the bishop, when it's his turn to be with your group, that's when you'll get together every other Sunday. You may see some bench wagons as we drive around. I'll point those out if we do. But here we have a dairy herd. Looks like some Holstein cows coming up here on the right. Got one cow sitting down. We'll call him ground beef. Some people think cows are good predictors of weather. If they're all standing up, it's going to be nice. If they're laying down, it's going to be stormy. In that case, I think we have some scattered showers. We have a farm coming up, or we're going to go right through the barnyard here. With the driver slowing down, we'll look around. Maybe we can see some things. A lot of times here there's an Amish tractor in the barnyard. That'll be off to the left here. Amish tractors, well, I don't see any today. The Amish do have tractor devices, however they can't use them in the fields. The use of that tractor is very limited. Not supposed to be used for transportation nor in the fields. So what's the point of having one, you may ask? Well, the engine on that tractor, the motor, is going to be used to power other devices on the farm, typically in the barnyard somewhere. Things such as maybe a manure pump or silage chopper. Think of it as a motor on wheels with very limited use. And did I mention corn? Sometimes we call these corn canyons here, where you're coming through and you have corn fields on both sides of the road. Corn is used to make silage, and that's a very important food source for the dairy cows. Dairy cow can eat up to 80 pounds of food a day, drink up to 30 gallons of water. So it takes a lot of food to keep those cows content and producing. Brings out the point the Amish do use modern farming techniques. They will use natural fertilizer, manure, but they will also use chemicals, spray insecticides and herbicides. Modern farming techniques such as no-till farming and crop rotation, they also practice. Dairy farmers will get computer printouts from the dairies regarding milk production and fat content, that kind of thing, that they can control with the feed they give the cows. So even though they're out there with horse-drawn equipment, in some ways they are more modern than you might realize. You may have wondered what these long white bags are here. Off to the right, and we'll see some more again on the right. That's haylage. What's in there are large bales of a grass that's been cut. Typically it's alfalfa, but it could be others. They wrap that hay or that cut grass in these long bags while it's still green. So the moisture content is there, so it ferments a little bit, and that becomes a food source for the dairy cows. It's called haylage. It's different from hay you typically see being baled. I'm going to make a right turn up here. Different from hay you typically see being baled where it's completely dry. That's going to be baled while it's still green. Well, the question is the use of cell phones with the church, and that's kind of a gray area because a lot of Amish will tell you they probably shouldn't have them, but they are out there in that community, especially for the young kids who have not joined the church yet. They're still going through that Rumspringa time of their lives. You'll also see some Amishmen with cell phones, in particular some of these construction crews where they're off on a job site away from a business area, so having the convenience of a cell phone sometimes is almost, well, it's appreciated. The church hasn't ruled on it, and it'll be interesting to see when they do. As far as regular telephones, we'll talk about that in just a minute. That's something that's interesting and is out there, and like I said, I think the church will have to decide here, because more and more, if you have a cell phone, you don't just have that communication, you got the internet and everything else. So, but it's a gray area that they're still considering. Now down here on the left, we have a good example of that Amish tractor I talked about. You'll see it sitting there. It's not in use right now. Just slow down a bit. But note the steel wheels in that tractor. That is a device, again, that the Amish farmers may use as a power source. They won't use it in the field. It's also not supposed to be used for transportation, though you may see it out on the road a short distance now and again. So the church decided if you want a telephone as an Amish family, you may have one. However, it's got to be in a separate building. And we have an example of that coming up. Slow down a minute. If you take a look in this driveway, just in about 30 feet, you're going to see a little white building sitting by itself next to the fence. That's the phone booth for that family. It's called a phone shanty, and that is typically how you're going to see telephones with Amish homes. They're going to be outside somewhere, typically in a separate building. Now, a farmer may have it in his barn somewhere, but it's not going to be in that house. The church does not allow that. So how do they hear the phone ring? Well, sometimes they don't. At a business, you may have an outside ringer to help you realize that there's an incoming call. More commonly, though, they may have an answering machine in that shanty, and they'll call you back. Well, here we are back at our starting point. I hope you enjoyed the farmland tour. I hope found the information interesting. There's plenty to do here in the Amish country. Now that your tour is complete, please take advantage of our other activities here at the Amish Experience, or if you care to do some exploring on your own, we can provide you a map and send you on your way.
Another wonderful experience we have here to offer at the Amish Experience that can be set up for you, for your groups. And also you can enjoy this individually as well if you come over here to Lancaster County. And this is our Magic Lantern Show.
Yes.
Yes, and we have this fine looking gentleman here that's going to tell us all about it.
Certainly. Well, hello everyone. My name is Professor Phineas T. Firefly of the Greater Boston Fireflies. And that's my performing name. My real name is Mark Sullivan, and I am the showman here for the Magic Lantern Show. Just to tell you a little bit about what the Magic Lantern is, back in the 1800s, this beautiful instrument was the most exciting entertainment there was. Before the movies, and I understand that's what they're called now, or movies, they had these wonderful images that would project on the screen, which we'll show you a little bit of in a minute. And they would tell stories, and there would be music, and currently we're performing This Is My Country, which is a patriotic show. Mm-hmm. We also offer a Bible story show, which is just wonderful. And in the fall, we'll be performing a Victorian Christmas called A Christmas Journey, which is a beautiful show and quite fun, and you know, just a lot of nice stuff in that show. So that's just a quick overview. The Magic Lantern is basically a projection device but when we put music and storytelling with it, it's quite a magical show indeed.
Well, thank you, Professor Firefly.
You're welcome. You're welcome indeed. So are we going to look at some images? Would you like that?
Sure, that'd be fun.
Wonderful. All right, well, we're going to have to douse the lights a little bit. So one of the images and one of the stories we talk about is, of course, the Battle of Gettysburg. And I have this slide here that I bring up, and when I tell everyone that at the Battle of Gettysburg alone, over 51,000 men lost their life in the most deadly battle of the Civil War. And it finally ended in 1865 with General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox. President Abraham Lincoln, who had labored so hard to abolish slavery and for a lasting peace in the country, was overcome with relief that the fighting had come to an end. His thoughts were summed up perfectly when he said, "It is for us, the living, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work for which they have fought here and have thus far so nobly advanced, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." And that's what Abraham Lincoln said. This is that effect you just saw on the screen is called a chromatrope. This is actually one of our oldest slides, dates back to 1847. It's like a kaleidoscope. It's pieces of different colored glass. But as I turn it, it moves. And you can probably see the image there. Hopefully you can. And when it's projected through the magic lantern onto the screen, it's quite effective. Very powerful.
I have really enjoyed my time over here in the Lancaster area, especially with my daughter with me, Allison, today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. This is one of my favorite places to come, and it is close by to Pottstown. It's only like an hour's drive. Whether you come here with your family, or you join us on board one of our motor coaches, or you become a group leader and bring your group here. Brad had so much to show us here at the Amish Experience. I really can't pick out my favorite one. How about you, Allison? What was your favorite?
Well, that's a tough call. I would say I really enjoyed the farmland tour that we had, the guided tour. And I know you love horses.
Yes,
and
I do.
it was really interesting to hear about the different types of horses that they use for the different purposes on the farms. And of course, the food was phenomenal. So you have to come over, enjoy the Amish experience, enjoy the food, and come with your family and bring your family on our bus and join us for a trip to Lancaster and the Amish farmlands.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.